So friends, this particular question was asked in GS paper 1 2013 examination of civil services. It was asked in the section of world history. The question is, American Revolution was an economic revolt against mercantilism. Substantiate. So UPSC has a unique habit of asking easy topics, yet in a sense that you have to have some specific knowledge about that particular question or topic. So most of the students in coaching usually tell us about the American Revolution. It's the very famous topic, like French Revolution, American Revolution, unification of Germany and Italy. These are the basic topics. But now the question asked it a little bit tangential, in the sense that American Revolution was an economic revolt against mercantilism. Now, before you can answer this question, you need to know this term, mercantilism. And apart from that, you also need to substantiate by giving some examples. Whenever there is the term substantiate in your question, you need to give some specific terms, some specific events, or some specific laws related to that particular topic. So as we always do, we firstly recognize the keywords. Keywords are the first thing we do after reading our questions. So starting, so first is American Revolution. We all know we have to first, whenever we hear the word American Revolution, the time period should come in our frame. Second is the economic revolt against mercantilism. So mercantilism is the next term which we have to elaborate in our answer, and substantiate, I told you, we have to put in examples. In such type of questions, the flow of an answer is very important. It will define your marks. If it is a 10-mark question, the marks might go from 2 to 7. So most of the information is available with the students, though it is very necessary in history, especially in world history, that you must recognize the time period as well as the basic areas from where the question has been asked. Still, the flow of an answer can actually hide your any lack of content which you might face. So if you know some things about a particular question, like here, if you know what the American Revolution was about, how the British policies must have been, suppose you don't know the word meaning of mercantilism, then how would you attend this particular question? So you will apply your mind and make out what the mercantilism word might mean. What are the policies what British adopted with India, another colony of Britain? Similar policies must have been followed in America also, because the basic philosophy is colonialism or imperialism. So this was the basic philosophy. Even if you don't know the meaning, you can make out. So for the flow of your answer, firstly, define mercantilism, define the time period when exactly mercantilism started. Give the example of mercantilist policies in America. So when we are saying substantiate, this is the part we are dealing with here. Substantiate. Now substantiate how American Revolution was an economic revolt. Now we will also give example why American Revolution was an economic revolt against mercantilism, and then we'll conclude suitably. So this is the flow you have to maintain your answers. You can divide your answer in multiple paragraphs, and if you have more points, you can also write in point format. So this is the standard definition of mercantilism. The definition, you can read it from the slide, but I will tell you in simple language what exactly it means. Mercantilism is a philosophy held by a nation that it should increase its export much more than its imports, so that a country has much more money with it. What it means? I should import, if a country is there, like this mother country or a colonizer should import raw material and export manufactured products. We all know what Britishers did with India. They imported all the cotton indigo and other raw materials from India to Europe and Britain, and there they had factories, big factories. There they manufactured products and brought it back to India for selling, thus depriving India of industrialization. This is one of the major policy of mercantilism. In this slide, you can see the example. This here it is shown that how from North America all the raw material, whale oil, lumber, furs, silk, indigo, tobacco, sugars, molasses, wood, all these were taken to Britain, and manufactured goods and luxuries were brought back to North America, thus depriving America of raw material, firstly. Second, selling expensive manufactured products. Apart from that, taxation policies and other policies are also included in the overall term of mercantilism. It is the subordination of a country in economic terms by using political means. Here it will become a little more clear that how resources were taken out from colony to mother country, profits were shifted, and a market was created in colony like America. So how would we start your answer? You will start your answer by providing a little bit of background that mercantilism as a policy was popularized in Europe in around 1500s. In context of America especially, the mercantilism started from 1651 to 1673. This was the time period when English Parliament passed 4 Navigation Acts, which were to ensure that proper mercantilist trade balance was created. What it means? It means that these acts were majorly means of insubordination of American markets, American business, and American profits to British profits. So what were these laws? These laws were, there were like 4 laws majorly. First was that English colonial ships would carry all the cargo. So how will you control the export import of a country? That you restrict their usage of ships. So American business can only use ships of Britain. So now every trade has been controlled. Second, like many certain goods like tobacco, rice and furs could not be shipped from except from British ports. So if America was producing tobacco, rice and furs, they could not ship it directly to the country where it had to be sold. Rather, from the American ports, these goods had to be transported to British ports, and then the trade of these goods to other countries was taking place. So here, how Britishers were using the mercantilist policies? They were actually making policies in such a way that the trade of America was dependent on Britain. So thus creating a dependency bond between the colony and the colonizers. Another was raw material was first preferred to be moved to Britain. So if Britain wanted cotton, America could not sell it to other people. First preference was given to British markets. And second was restrictive manufacturing policies. So British Parliament, Britain's leaders decided how much American industries will produce, what will they produce, in the sense that they had put some restrictions on the manufacturing markets of manufacturing industries of America, thus restricting the economic exploration of America. So all these things led to discontent among American people. We all know what are the reasons of American Revolution. Every notes has given it that the people there had independent flair, the economy were much more liberalized, and all these factors we all know. But what were the exact reasons for mercantilist policy? So all the points have been covered except these two. So then is the slave trade. So slave trade was also popular at that time, and another was taxation policy. We'll come to the taxation policy later, where we will see how the taxation played a very important role in American Revolution. So the question was how American Revolution was a economic revolt against mercantilism of British. So we have earlier seen that what was the mercantilist policy of Britain and how it affected the American markets and profits. So now, why it led to the American Revolution? So for this, we need to understand a little more background. So starting with the 7-Year War, British and French states were involved in a 7-year war in which American colonies helped Britain, sided with Britain, and Britain won that war. But because of this war, Britain had a debt of around over 100 million pounds. This was a huge debt. 100 million, that was a huge debt. So how Britain government thought to recover that amount? They thought to put more taxes on American colonies. So first they started with Sugar Act, Navigation Acts, Stamp Acts, thus increasing the taxation burden on people. They also increased restrictions, and all these things led to the frustration of Americans. They started with the campaign No Stamp Act, No Taxation Without Representation, and all these movements started. At that particular time, movement also started like Sons and Daughters of Liberty. So they wanted that American market and people should be as liberalized as the British markets and people are. They demanded it. All this we have seen, that how imports were restricted, how trade on certain commodities was restricted, and further the war on France was also expensive for America because all the resources were drained from America at that particular time of this 7-year war. Of this 7-year war, the resources had been drained. And this economic issue gave fire to the political issue. We all know how economics and politics are integrated into each other. Whenever politics is changing, we must also see how the economics has changed with it. So these campaigns of no tax without representation started. At this particular time, British Parliament also aired the view that American people were represented by virtual representation, which was rejected by the leaders of American Revolution. And just like India, in India the drain theory was propounded by Dadabhai Nauroji. Similarly, in American Revolution, the Thomas Paine wrote a book, Common Sense, which highlighted how the economic drain was uh, leading to impoverishment of America and filling the coffers of British Parliament. So this became a very instrumental in awakening of people. And whenever you are writing an answer, you must make sure that you must use some of the standard terms like Greenville policy. Greenville policy is the taxation policy whereby the Lord Greenville, who was in charge of American colonies, actually imposed the taxation of the stamp tax, navigation tax, and all these. Apart from that, the term like Boston Massacre and Boston Tea Party should also come. Most of the notes have covered this topic, but in brief, I'll tell you. British Parliament has imposed taxation, a tea tax on American tea. And in revolt, American revolters actually attacked a ship which was anchored on the Boston port. And they drained all the tea, and this is also known as Boston Tea Party. After that, intolerable acts were brought in whereby British bureaucracy actually imposed too much of restrictions on the movement of American people, and this further started with the movement of independence and liberty. So, in the flow of our answer, and especially in the conclusion, these three parts should come: unequal treatment of Britain and how it led to the economic revolt and American Revolution. So that, because it is a question which is a very vague and vast expanse question. So here you need to define your boundaries. So this is the last slide. Here I wanted to depict exactly what mercantilist argument was. So this is the Britain and all these other colonies like India and America, and so they should give us the raw material. The Britain thought that all the colonies should give the raw material, food stuff, gold, silver, and everything. So this mercantilist policy was a very exploitative policy of British colonizers. So once you are finished with this answer, you must have realized that your flow, which started with mercantilism, time period, policies America had, substantiation of American Revolution, and conclusion. Once you fulfill all these criteria, a good answer will come. I'll be making more videos for further questions. Thank you.